Hi, everybody. It's Liz from eComEngine. I'm here with my friend Chris McCabe from eCommerce Chris. Say hi, Chris.
Good to see you.
So Chris and I were talking a couple of weeks ago about a person he was talking to who had some bad language in an email that went through buyer-seller messaging. And since that's something that we think a lot about here at eComEngine with our Feedback 5 tool, we try to make sure everybody's compliant and paying attention to Amazon's TOS. So Chris, why don't you tell us a little bit about that story, because it definitely knocked my socks off.
It's scary because I know everyone's tempted to grab a template and trust that the wording in the template's okay, otherwise it wouldn't exist and you wouldn't be paying for it. But it looks like somebody that wasn't as familiar with TOS or what the rules are about asking how you ask for feedback wrote a template describing the kinds of feedback that would be helpful to that business. In other words, a 4 or a 5, right? Like a nice feedback. Part one of the problem was they were saying, if there's a problem with the order, contact us. We want to hear from you. We want to help you. But if you're happy with it, we need positive feedback because we're a small growing business, yada, yada. So they recommended 4 or 5-star feedback, which is, not compliant. And also they said the wording, I think what struck you, right, was anything less than 4 will hurt our business.
Yeah.
And that's why we talked about it. So. Yeah.
And that didn't end up favorably for the seller, right?
Right. Seller got suspended.
Right.
So,
specifically because of that language. So, I mean, in the TOS world, we know that you can't ever ask for a positive product review. You can't try to influence the product review in any way. You can ask for it, sure, but you have to just say, hey, please leave me, review our product so that people on the Amazon marketplace know what's going on.
right.
And with feedback, you're not specifically restricted from asking for positive feedback, I don't think, in TOS, but it's still not a good idea to try to manipulate anybody's actions, any of your buyers' actions. And that particular template that you read to me seemed to be breaking rules all over the place, definitely in terms of product reviews, but also in terms of feedback, because what Amazon wants is honest feedback and honest product reviews. And if you're guiding someone and telling them, hey, don't leave me feedback unless it's good, and if you do, it's going to hurt my business, so that's on you, that's just a whole big pile of manipulation and coercion that Amazon doesn't want from their sellers.
Right. And I'm used to seeing these non-compliant product review solicitation templates. I understand you're not going to custom write something every time. You're going to use some kind of a template, but that doesn't mean you can't proof it or edit it for what's compliant and what isn't. And I keep waiting to see this same template popping up with other sellers using it and getting suspended. Now, it hasn't happened as often as I thought, but it's the same. I'm used to seeing templates for reinstatement of an account suspension, right? And I see them after they've been rejected. Like somebody buys a template somewhere for a few $100 and it doesn't get them anywhere, and then they show it to me. So I'm used to it in that situation. But this is like, how many thousands of messages are going out with this kind of template versus the ones I still see that say we are a small growing business, we're a small family business. I still see all that language. So I think Amazon has scripts that'll pick up those keywords. They won't necessarily auto suspend everyone who has that in their template, but why not take this opportunity to eliminate that language before they do it?
Right.
Before they grab it. Yeah.
Well, and I mean, we're kind of in the business of paying attention to the rules because our Feedback 5 tool does allow sellers to message their buyers and ask for feedback and product reviews, but we want everybody to do it in a TOS compliant way. Our templates are TOS compliant. Right. And we offer account reviews and optimizations to ensure that what you're sending out there is not going to get you in trouble.
Yeah.
I think, without giving up too much, that the template that you found that did get your that got your client suspended wasn't actually a Feedback 5 or Genius or one of our types of tools that is specifically meant to ask for product reviews and feedback. But if other people in the industry are kind of playing around with that type of messaging, they really, really should be paying close attention to TOS all the time.
Well, they'll get their clients hurt otherwise. I think I diagnosed what the problem was, which was this wasn't their main thing. They weren't necessarily experts in this. It was an extra offering. It was something they tacked on. And just for all the Amazon sellers, I mean, if you're going to third-party services for anything, really, try to go to people who are expert in that particular area. Right. So, I mean, I'm not necessarily a marketing expert. I mean, am I the best person to talk to for, how you market your products on Amazon? No, I'm not. I'm not afraid to admit that. I mean, I can help in lots of other ways around protecting your account, dealing with a suspended account, getting ASINs reinstated, not breaking product review abuse type rules and so forth. So if it's an extra offering, just something that the company you're working with has tacked onto their website because they allied with somebody temporarily, or they just added this responsibility to an employee's plate, and that person isn't, fluent in all this stuff, just be aware that that's going to present problems.
Absolutely. Anytime you're communicating with your buyers, make sure you're following TOS, no matter what tool you're using, no matter, just always double check any type of wording, because it can really get you in trouble, and it makes things harder for everybody else too.
Well, and then Amazon eventually gets tired of policing this stuff, and it winds up being a heavy-handed suspension, crackdown, or purge of some sort when they think people aren't getting the hint.
Right.
So it's like the fewer people doing it now, the less likely there is to be a purge later, I think. So.
And if you ever need any advice or questions answered about the rules, you can talk to either one of us and we will tell you.
Exactly. And then, of course, it's not just Amazon looking at this stuff. If a competitor buys from you, it's the same thing with product inserts, right? If they take a picture of the insert that's non-compliant and send that image to Amazon in an abuse report, that could come back to haunt you. Or if it's just the messaging, if they're copying and pasting the messaging they got. So I know product inserts, that's where everyone went when they thought the messaging was suspect, but product insert enforcement seems to be up on the uptick as well. So
I have heard that they do have ways at Amazon warehouses to tell what kind of inserts you have in your packages. They have a lot of technology that that I don't necessarily understand, but no matter how you communicate with your buyer, be it on paper, be it in an email, you have to be really careful to follow the rules.
Well, also returns go to FBA. That's an opened package, so they can see if something's in there.
Yep.
Not supposed to be in there. So, yep. Just a warning for all. Terrible time of year to be suspended for something like this that you can prevent. So,
terrible time of year. And like Chris said, they're getting tired of policing bad actors. So there could be a keyword. It could not be a technical TOS violation, but if you're walking that thin line, or if you're in a gray area, you need to get right out of it right now.
Don't just say we didn't know, or we didn't, realize that we bought a template that wasn't compliant. They don't really care for finger pointing or pushing the burden of responsibility onto somebody else's shoulders. They want you to shoulder that. So
right.
Yeah.
And if you're going to be communicating with your buyers via buyer-seller messaging, you need to use a company that knows what they're doing, that knows how to do it the right way, and can advise you what you're allowed to say and what you're not allowed to say.
And there aren't many of those companies. So
call me.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's super important, and it would be a terrible time of year to get suspended, but any time of year is a terrible time of year to get suspended.
Of course. It's just that this time of year, obviously, people have doubled down on inventory, and not that it's solace if you get suspended in January versus now, but the bottom line is you need to brush up your language and get rid of some of this stuff before anyone catches it or reports you for it, because obviously I wouldn't be seeing as many suspensions as I do if this were not a problem. So,
and you don't want to end up with Chris being suspended. You end up with Chris, and he can help you look over your account and make sure you're doing everything the way you're supposed to. We can help you make sure your email language is correct. Chris can also help you with that too.
Well, you want to work with me as an active seller, not as a suspended
right
seller. So that's most people's preference, naturally.
It's far more fun to do it that way.
When you're active, you can think more about preventing some of these things from blowing up into a big problem, and you feel better about doing it while you're not in a panic and anxiety filled state of, I need to get back on as soon as possible. I'll tell Amazon anything I have to. And then, that tends to lead to not just poor suspension related decisions, but poor business decisions as well.
Absolutely.
When you can do it from the position of an active seller, you're in a much better state to address those. So.
Awesome. Well, thanks
Great.
for the update, Chris. I really appreciate it. We like to know what's going on out there, and we're always bummed when we hear somebody's been suspended, but I know that you're on the case, and we've got some cool stuff coming up in the next couple of months, so stay tuned. And if you need help looking at your Amazon account the way Amazon does, Chris and Leah are awesome at that. So I'll put a link to their membership in the comments. And if you need any help with Feedback 5 or Restock Pro or eComSpy, you can always come to me. Happy holidays, everybody. Yep. Thanks so much. Thanks, Chris. I appreciate it. And we'll talk soon.
Yeah, take care.
All right.